Tell me, is there an expectation of return with the goddamn orange pill moon boys?
Wow. If you know a crypto holder, send them this video. Why? Because the founder of a top 10 cryptocurrency, Charles Hoskinson, just went off on Gary Gensler, Joe Biden, and Bitcoin getting a pass with US regulators while Cardano and crypto continues to suffer. Listen to this, and you let me know, do you agree with him? He's talking about the quality, legitimate crypto assets in the space and the SEC coming in and claiming their securities, but not Bitcoin. Listen, does he have a point?
These are open protocols. But then they come in and say it's a security. Okay, well, what the hell does that mean if it's decentralized? How does Bitcoin register? Oh, but it's not. Then explain to me the fucking difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano and the rest of the gang. Explain it to me. Like I'm 5 years old. Run the goddamn Howey test on it and show me the difference between the two. Tell me, is there an expectation of return with the goddamn orange pill moon boys? It's there.
He is just so angry. I mean, this man is livid. I don't know. Would his message get more likes and more shares if he was more tactful? I mean, he's standing up for not just Cardano, but all of crypto. But is he his own worst enemy? Now, the thing is, Cardano holders seem to like him like this. I mean, I sent this video to a couple of my Cardano friends, and actually the more they watched of this video, the more they liked it and had positive feelings about it. I don't know. He just seems like he's on one and just random tangents about things that I find funny, but are just from his past, like this infamous picture of him and a crypto influencer called Crypto Finally, Rachel Siegel. People always share this picture of him every bull market, and he's a bit perturbed.
Or that picture where I'm hanging out with Rachel Siegel, the Cosmopolitan, will be posted again and 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 again. Getting tired of it again and again and again and getting tired of it, get again and again and again and again and again.
So if Cardano has any hope of ever flipping Solana, flipping XRP, I mean, it's never going to flip Bitcoin, it's never going to flip Ethereum. If Cardano has any hope of really advancing itself in America, I guess I should show you the full clip. You need to see the full context. So here is the exact problem crypto is facing with the SEC. Charles Hoskinson lays out the exact problem all cryptocurrency has. This applies to all crypto. Listen to this. You tell me.
Please talk about the SEC. There's nothing to talk about. Nothing at all. I see all these people say, well, can you go and prove you're not a security? Guys, everything is a security right now, according to the SEC. They would say Bitcoin and Ethereum were a security if they get away with it. Because the reality is that the way that the 1933 investment contracts define, Howey test is defined, is overly broad. And what happens is they litigate it if they really care. Baseball cards could be securities if they really wanted them to be. Why not? When you have policy through enforcement instead of legislation, it leaves a catastrophic harm to an industry. And normally what happens when you have a well-functioning government is whenever a new technology comes, like we saw with the Digital Millennium Copyright Act and the NSF-AUP and other things that were passed in the 1990s, like with the internet, is that the legislative arm of the government shows up and says, our rules that were written 70 years ago cannot possibly have imagined and comply with this new industry that exists. The United States, we regulate things by boxes. You're a currency, FinCEN, and BSA, and this other stuff. You're a commodity, CFTC. You're a security, SEC, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what do you do when you have an asset that could be everything all at once? It can be a security, it can be a commodity, it can be a loyalty point, it can be a representation of real estate, it can be intellectual property, it can be a collector's item, it can be an identity, and it can be all of those things at the same time. Who regulates that? So you're in full compliance with the CFTC and FinCEN and all these other things. And this other guy comes and says, come in and register. Come in and register. How? There's no path to do it. There's no explanation on how to do it. When you go in and ask, they say, we can't tell you. Ask your lawyer. Ask the lawyer. They say there's no path. Coinbase tries to do this. 2021, they file an S1. The SEC looks at it and says, you know what? Your business model is okay to expose to retail investors, millions of retail investors. You can sell stock to them. We will let you do an IPO. They explain their listing, all the assets, including ADA. We're on that. The SEC checkmark. And then 2 years later, after talking to them like 24 times, they come back and say, oh, I can't believe you're selling these cryptocurrencies on your exchange. Well, we don't understand this model. You guys are an unregistered broker dealer, and we have to take you down. They say what the business model is exactly the same with the business model that you approved and allowed us to sell our stock to retail investors with. You spent a year and a half with us and millions of dollars of legal fees talking to you guys. Why then wouldn't everything be okay? No, now it's not. And I said, well, what about all the time, the 2 years we talked to you, we have a broker-dealer license. We certainly could figure out a way to do this. You ghosted us. And now you're suing us and Kraken and Bittrex and everybody else. What do you do? The courts obviously will resolve this, but the problem with the executive branch is they know that if they sue people, resolution takes 2 to 3 years, and even when they lose, they just go nee, 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 and they just keep going until the legislative branch stops them. This is a failure of Congress in the United States. They need to pass a law, and they need to set clear rules, and the vast majority of people in the industry will follow those rules. The rules are not clear. It's impossible to comply with them. And I would love a memo to be drafted to show how, because it's not possible.
Now let me show you the really juicy part. This is where Charles really blows up. And again, I've seen people become more of Cardano fans after watching this, despite Charles's prickly energy. So here, Charles really starts to erupt. And again, I ask you, do you agree with him on this? Do you disagree with him on this? Let me know in the comments. Watch this.
To argue that every single thing is a security, if the founders all die and the protocol still operates and runs, and the value of it is based upon the efforts of a collective of thousands, if not tens of thousands of independent people, how is that a security? We already have a term for that. It's called a commodity. If you kill any person on the planet, any person at all, the value of gold, regardless if that's a CEO of Barracks or the owner of the largest gold mine in the world, is still going to be there. Why? Because gold, its value is a collective of a marketplace. And the participation of these things are permissionless. Who comes to me and asks, can I build on Cardano? You have to ask Microsoft to do something with their products. You have to sign their licenses to do something with their products. It's centralized. But in a commodity, anybody at any time can wake up and say, you know what? I'm going to grow some wheat. You know what? I got some gold over there. I'm going to take it and sell it in a global marketplace. That's why the CFTC exists. Kind of makes sense, right? These are open protocols. But then they come in and say it's a security. Okay, well, what the hell does that mean if it's decentralized? How does Bitcoin register? Oh, but it's not. Then explain to me the fucking difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano and the rest of the gang. Explain it to me. Like I'm 5 years old. Run the goddamn Howey test on it and show me the difference between the two. Tell me, is there an expectation of return with the goddamn orange pill moon boys? It's there. There's so many different planks and angles that you can take a look at this thing from. And by the way, if you subpoena an attack about 3 different entities, you could perform a 51% attack on Bitcoin because that's the way the hash power works. But it's decentralized, apparently. And Team Orange gets a complete pass. It's a pathetic fucking joke. It's an absolutely pathetic joke. You know, and it would be funny if not for the fact that hundreds of millions of dollars of legal fees have been exhausted in this Pyrrhic war that's being fought on the industry. And they'll lose court case after court case, as they already have, and will continue. And then at some point, it'll stop. There will not be an apology. There's not going to be any money that comes back, and we'll just move on. Like we did with the Kennedy assassination. We'll just move on. Like we did with Vietnam. We'll just move on. Like we did with Iraq and Afghanistan. We'll just move on like we're doing right now with COVID. We'll just move on like we did with all the things that have happened the last 50, 60, 70 years in the United States history. It has to stop. It honestly has to stop. Why do I praise libertarians come in? Because the only people that seem to think the only people seem to improve the situation, the people that are unraveling the government. It's not accountable anymore. People harm people, they get away with it, and they just move on, and nothing changes.
So basically he's saying that just like the US with their handling of the Vietnam War, the 2001 invasion of Afghanistan, and even COVID, I guess, all of these problems will blow over in America just like those did, and all the harm that's being done to crypto today will just be forgotten about eventually, and Charles Hoskinson will never get a sorry. And he's tired of it.
I'm tired of it. I think our industry's tired of it. The entire reason cryptocurrencies exist is not because somebody woke up and said, man, tokens on the internet is such a good idea. The entire reason cryptocurrencies exist is that we're trying collectively to reestablish the social contract, because the social contract is horrifically broken. If the people in charge are unelected, unaccountable, and don't ever have to prove to us, the beneficiaries of the public trust, that they're doing good for us. And when they screw up, nothing happens to them. They get a promotion, they get elected to higher office, and we just have to move on as a society. That is not a government for the people, by the people, of the people. That is something else. That looks a lot more like the thing that we rebelled against when we founded this goddamn country.
If you're interested in making money in cryptocurrency, make sure you subscribe. Daily news and information, daily content, keeping you informed and giving you an edge in the cryptocurrency industry. See you tomorrow. Another banger video is about to drop from us.